Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack.
You'll see, Mom, like you'll miss these tiny days. What fresh hell?
Laughing in the face of motherhood.
You there with your 5-year-olds.
With Margaret Abels
and Amy Wilson. No, don't you remember we used to make cookies together?
A podcast that solves today's parenting dilemmas
so you don't have to. It was the triple sow cow, and I didn't land it.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to What Fresh Hell, Laughing in the Face of Motherhood. This is Amy.
And this is Margaret. And this week, Amy, we're talking about things change, and that's okay.
But first, we're going to go to mailbag.
Mailbag.
Oh, Amy, such a professional.
I did it.
It's definitely been weeks since we remembered, but here we are.
Elisa emailed us to say, I wanted to thank you for the episode on pandemic decision fatigue and all your prior episodes addressing the pandemic. As I listen, I feel less alone in my struggle to protect my too young to vaccinate toddler and my pandemic fatigued husband. You make me laugh without ignoring how difficult this time is for moms. You are the mom friends I never got to make.
Oh,
Team Elisa, because she became a mom during the pandemic, right?
Right, of course. So you're just completely isolated.
We're your mom friends.
We're here, and believe me, we don't have all the answers for the reality that is the pandemic, but I'm glad that the fact that we're talking about it helps us.
Yes.
I also want to point out, Amy, that Nikki Olympia Preveno in our Facebook group, and I shared it to our page, made an amazing Hellions bingo card.
I know. We are so excited about this.
It's so fun. So if you want, pull it up while you're listening and you can play along and you could just shout bingo out to yourself if we mention. I'm not going to have the card because I don't want to cheat. I'm not going to play to the card.
Right. We're not going to tip it.
No, I'm not going to be like, I haven't said this yet. Oh, I better say it so someone can get bingo. It's just a totally organic experience. Exactly.
It's also on Instagram. We're on Instagram at What Fresh Hellcast. And by the way, people were like, what about this? What about that? And there's a whole like round 2 that we need to make.
Yeah, we need a second bingo card for sure. A lot of people were like, you didn't mention this. Love it.
It's coming.
This idea for today, things change and that's okay, came after Amy recorded an Ask Amy that was about what it's like having a kid away at college. And so many of our listeners have younger kids. And it was interesting to me how many people reacted to this episode of like, oh, wow.
They wanted to know. Right.
They want to know. They're thinking ahead.
Yeah.
And I recently recorded an Ask Margaret about what do I do with like my beloved little Baba, who was so cute and loving and is now rolling their eyes and speaking rudely to me. And so top of mind for us was how these things are changing. And you know, people always ask. I started, Amy, my research for this episode by Googling, does it get easier? And I was taken back to a day when my kids were, 4, 3, and 1, where I was Googling, does it get easier constantly? And let me tell you, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Because as I Googled it, you know how when you Google something, the window box pops up? It autofills.
It autofills.
And this is the autofill box. I'm just going to read you what's underneath it. When does parenting get better? When does parenting get easier? When does parenting get less exhausting? When does parenting get fun? When does parenting stop being so hard? Does parenting get easier over time? Like, this is definitely something that people are worried about. And we're not even so much today focusing on does parenting get easier? Because that's a lengthy debate that we could go many ways about. And we've kind of talked about on the podcast, is the point of parenting to have it be fun or easy or to bring us joy and happiness? And we kind of came out on the side of like, meh, it's kind of more full human experience.
Yeah, but we've also been firmly team hashtag it gets better.
Yes.
Because I think we do kind of feel like, yes, it is not always going to be as hands hard. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Morning till night, taking care of something, picking something up hard. That changes. It becomes more, your kids' problems or lives become more complicated and you're more head and heart than changing 10 diapers.
Absolutely. And that grind. One quote that I pulled out of your Ask Amy, which we'll link in the show notes, is it's way bigger ahead of you than it is in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
There's so much of that in this way that we think about parenting and the kind of refrain that is like, just wait, Mom, you think it's hard now. Like, I could definitely remember I only had a double stroller and I had 3 kids. So I would have the baby and the toddler in it. And then like my 4-year-old would straddle the middle just to like have somewhere to be, or he would stand on the back of it. And therefore I would transform my double stroller into a triple stroller.
Mm-hmm. I had one of those.
I mean, it was a comical sight. It was like, you know, sometimes you see the picture of the motorcycle and there's like 40 people on a single motorcycle. That's what I look like pushing my stroller. And I just cannot understand the logic of people who would say to me, seeing me then like trying to shove groceries in the pocket of the very bottom of that while I like bled from my eyeballs from fatigue. Like, oh, just wait. It's much worse when they're teenagers. Like, what? What is that, Amy?
I don't know what that was about. I actually wrote about that. The crone coming up to you, like, just you wait, you'll see. And I think like, what do you mean? What am I waiting for? And my honest answer to what is it like when your kid goes away to college was it's different, but it's not bad. It's not me like weeping into his old sweatshirts, you know, like, and that, I feel like you either see that out there or nothing. And there are ways in which my relationship with that child have improved. Like, I had like a half-hour conversation with him last night when he was on his way to a formal that he was really excited about. And this friend's going with this friend. And he called me and we talked for half an hour about all these things he had to tell me. And now I won't see him for a week. And that's really different. But it's not worse.
And I think that what the whole like crone emerging from the shadows to curse you vibe also leaves out, which we're going to talk about today, is your own agency in this. That like you have a role to play in changing along with your kids. That if you are going to set the story of like the only valuable part of childhood is like a kid who says regally truck for every truck that's not a fire truck, you're going to have a horrible experience of your child getting older. You know, you have a role to play in growing with your kids and changing your role with your kids. And like, yes, baby snuggles are wonderful, but potty training 3 kids, having 3 kids in diapers as I did is horrible. And like, I think that a lot of it is mindset. If you attach to like the precious moments of youth, yes, your kid going to college is going to be the worst thing that ever happens to you. But I don't think that's your only option. That's what I want to say.
No, it's not your only option. And I think we are sold that as a society, that like the little feet in footy pajamas coming down the stairs, like, you'll see, Mama. Like, I just want to block that.
Yes.
You know, like I said, I muted Wordle on Twitter and now play Wordle with my high schooler. I play Wordle and it's like a point of connection. But I want to mute the like, you'll see, Mom, like, you'll miss these tiny days. I just feel like it's a weird thing because, yeah, sometimes you do. And sometimes you're playing Wordle with your 17-year-old and it's kind of fun. And you still remember that he said big quack mommy when he was little and a truck would go by. You can have have both. That's the thing that I think that leaves out. You can have both the memories of them being little and adorable and needing you and this new developing relationship with you, which isn't always great, but it's not always bad.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. You can have both. It's too early for a solved it, Amy, but that is going to come back as a theme through the episode. And I think going back to your idea of it's bigger ahead than in the rearview mirror, like the things that grind us down when our kids are little, like the potty training, the like we have to find a kindergarten, the constant like anxiety of did I leave the door open and the kid is out playing in the road, like that grind, that mental grind to me. I now have a 13-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 10-year-old. That's the worst phase of my life. That constant hum of like, are they eating paint chips while I'm trying to change this one's diaper? Now I have eye-rolly tweens and I have lots of problems and I have like kids who I'm constantly trying to like get to do their homework. And I'm kind of the villain in the story in our house right now, which I find mentally taxing, but I wouldn't trade it for that toddler phase for all the money in the world. Like I love where we are right now. And I'm going to give you an example. We took the kids skiing this weekend and we just went for the 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. And at some point, so my kids, one of my 9-year-old ran into a friend, my 12-year-old ran into a friend, and my 13-year-old joined them, was out by himself. And we were sitting in the lodge having a beer while all 3 of my kids are skiing. And I was just like, this is so much better than skiing with little kids. We're not a big ski family. So it's like, we never had that like 3-year-old. I kept seeing women in the restroom, like peeling off a kid's ski suit to change diapers. And let me tell you, if that's what you're up to, God bless you. But I just was like, who is doing this? Did you?
Oh, I did it. I mean, not diapers, but I had a 3-year. I mean, because my spouse, who is a skier, not an insane skier, but like learned how to ski as a child. I did not. So I thought it was important that kids learn to ski when they're young. And I will say, don't learn to ski when you're 40. It doesn't go well. And take it from me. We'll do a separate episode on that one.
That's the episode. Don't learn to ski after 40. I mean, it's God bless you.
Yeah, but I've actually written about this too. And learning to ski and your kids getting older. For me, when we started to ski and I'm 40 and my kids are, 5 and 3 and 7 or whatever they were, and they were immediately better at it than me. And they were immediately racing away from me and getting better at it at such a clip that I was never going to be able to keep up. That was a thing's change for me. I had never been worse at something than my kids before until we skied.
Yeah, interesting.
I was always better than something. I was always leading the way. Like, don't worry, guys. Like, I know how to get us back to the lodge, and when we hike, now it was, no, come on, Mom, it's easy. And like, no, this isn't easy. What are you talking about? That was a big change.
Yeah.
It wasn't worse. Now I, stay at the hotel and let them go skiing without me when we ski every 3 years. Have fun, guys.
I just found that moment of my kids are off doing something. We're together as a family.
Yeah.
We were in the hotel at night. Let me tell you, we go to dinner and I don't have to look for 9 different restaurants because they only eat chicken nuggets. And, we are able to like go down to whatever restaurant happens to be in the hotel and get food. And at night, we are talking about the day and laughing about things. Like, I'm loving it. Now, does it involve a lot of like, Mom, where's my socks? Like, I'm sorry, I'm the villain of the weekend because you forgot to pack socks. Like, and I do a ton of work to make sure that everybody has their pieces and we have checklists. And
of course,
it's a pain, but the experience of being able to enjoy something as a family, and then my husband and I getting some time to enjoy each other's company because our kids are independent enough to be off and enjoying their friends and doing their own thing. I'm going to say phenomenal.
Yeah. Right. And so the part that's worse, that the kids are constantly annoyed by you, like there are parts that are better and there are parts that are worse. It is neither as simple as, don't worry about it, guys. Your kids won't bother you anymore, or you'll miss every moment of this. Like, I think that messaging that we get is, it's kind of like insidious because like the more you hear, like if they could just stay little till their Carters wear out. Is that an Goldilocks alert or do they still say that about Carters?
It is.
Back in my day.
Definitely an Goldilocks alert.
That you have to keep them them little. You have to keep them young because it only gets less fun from here. I think that it's wrong, and it really holds you back, and it makes you spend time worrying about, will I be sad when they go to college? You might be happy too.
And you are going to be sad. And I think that's right. The metaphor is not like doors and like the other side of the door is great or the other side of the door is terrible. The metaphor is like a balancing scale where like certain things come off one side and other things go on the other side.
Well
and like
said.
trying to keep that balance is the journey of this. And it's not some mythical door where like, wait a minute, guys, is it happy over there? No, you're just going to be recalibrating that scale as you go along and your kids get older.
Yeah.
But there is one thing I want to add to that. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
For some of us, tax season is one of the only times that we look at our finances fully. And once it's over, well, that was terrible. And it is completely understandable not to want to think about it for another whole year. But using Monarch and being intentional with your finances in an ongoing way helps you see where your money is going and how you can put your refund to best use.
We are here to tell you, simplify your finances with Monarch. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. It brings your entire financial life, budgeting, accounts and investments, net worth, and future planning together in one dashboard on your phone or laptop.
Feel aware and in control of your finances this tax season and get 50% off your Monarch subscription with code FRESH.
As you know, my husband and I are preparing to send, 3 kids off to college, and I cannot tell you how helpful Monarch has been in showing us our full financial picture, helping us to track our spending and reach important savings milestones. Our weekly meeting, Amy, it's now run by Monarch.
Love it. Achieve your financial goals for good with Monarch, the all-in-one tool that makes money management simple.
Use code FRESH at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off at monarch.com, code FRESH.
My favorite skincare products actually feel more like self-care, like they're so nice to put on and they smell so good that I'm actually happy when I get to that part of my day. And I swear that is how I feel about Osea's anti-aging body balm.
Amy, you are usually the lotions and potions queen on this podcast, but I have to say, hard agree.
Osea's anti-aging body balm is a liquid silk body balm that combines the lasting hydration of a lotion with the firming power of a serum, leaving skin smoother and firmer.
This body balm is clinically tested and designed to deliver visible results you can see and feel.
So we've gotten to use this product for a couple of months now, and I swear I have really noticed firmer and smoother skin, like on the back of my hands. It's like getting a mini spa treatment from head to toe.
Get a spring-worthy glow with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners.
Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FRESH at OseaMalibu.com.
That's 10% off your first order with code FRESH at OSEAMalibu.com. Okay, so I want to acknowledge, because one of the things that happens in these kind of conversations is like, but your kids get out of diapers and your kids get independent and they ski by themselves. And that's the wonder of it.
Yeah.
There are parents for whom that's not true. There are parents of kids with special needs. There are a lot of situations in which the facile advice of like, it gets easier because these magic things happen. That's not a universal experience.
Or at least it happens much more slowly, right? Like they learn to speak much later, whatever it is, right? That change is happening, but you have to have a lot more patience. Maybe it's slower.
For sure. And having dealt with developmental delays, I think most 1-year-olds look the same to everyone. And as you deal with developmental delays, what you can find is like a 5-year-old with developmental delays looks quite different than a 5-year-old who does not have developmental delays. So sometimes the pain of those gaps gets much more pronounced.
Yeah.
Or, high school graduation may look different for your kid with developmental delays than it looks for like the typical kid who's maybe going off to college and yay. And so this whole conversation is going to be quite generalized. I still think, having dealt with this myself, it still gets easier, I think. You understand the challenges better. You feel more equipped to handle the challenges as you go along. You find a lot of joy that is unexpected when you were just reading a diagnosis. Like, there's a lot about it that I do think gets better, but I don't think, if you don't hear yourself in this exact discussion, I just want to acknowledge that, like, I still think this is true. I have still found that this gets easier. And it's not universal truths that we're talking about.
I want to bring up, we did a fresh take with Debbie Reber of Tilt Parenting.
Yes.
She's a special needs parent, and her whole community is about special needs parenting. And so we'll link to that episode in the show notes. And she did make this point, like, yeah, your kid changes and you will also change. You will also get better at this. You'll develop skills. You'll mature as a person. You'll grow in belief that you can be the parent that this child needs to be. And that does make it easier in that way.
Yes. Let me tell you, your first IEP meeting is really different than your 9th IEP meeting. And for me, better.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing. You're there. You understand how to be the right kind of advocate. And, you know, I think the universal lessons, your scale may be trickier to balance, but that universalness of that is still true. Finding that balance is still really important and what we're working on. So, Amy, in my Googling, I was just interested, what's the age that people think that it gets better, gets easier?
Right.
Getting away from this idea of like, it never gets easier, it only gets harder. What's the magic age?
Right. When the crone is saying, just you wait. What age is she talking about?
Yeah. Well, and also like when you're sitting there like, oh my God, are they somehow eating paint while I'm changing the diaper?
When does that stop? Okay.
This is from Motherhood and More. She says, for me, that shift occurred when our youngest child turned 6. That was the magical age when parenting got significantly easier, at least in a practical sense. I no longer had to get anyone snacks unless I wanted to. I no longer had to keep a close eye on them to make sure they weren't going to run off into the street. I no longer had to buckle anyone in a car. That was a huge day. And I no longer had to wipe anyone's butt. I think you can't deny that, Amy.
We did an episode about when does this get easier, so we'll have to link to that in the show notes too. And I remember bringing to the Thunderdome, my argument for that episode was that it gets easier when you can say, okay, bath time and pajamas time, and your kids can go upstairs or go in the bathroom and then go pajamas on and reappear bathed and pajamaed. That whenever that age is, if you're lucky enough to get to that age with your kids, that's the age where it gets easier.
Yeah.
That might be a little older than 6. Depends on the kid.
I feel like when people say to me, when does it get easier? Carolyn Hacks, do you read her?
I love her. Yeah, I always read her. She's a syndicated advice column.
Love her. And somebody wrote it and said, when does it get easier? And she said, I never do this, but I'm going to do this. 5. That's the age when your ball of needs stops being a toddler, starts being a kid, someone who can actually help out a bit, listen more reliably, amuse you regularly, and just fry your brain less.
This reminds me of that book, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Do you remember that book? Everybody was reading that.
Amy, an Oldilocks alert.
Back in my day.
I know, I'm bringing all the Oldilocks alerts today. Anyway, like I kind of half read it, but like the joke of the book, spoiler alert, but nobody, if you haven't read that book by now, then it's on you, I guess. That they're like, what's the meaning of life? The meaning of life, the meaning of the universe. And then the joke is at the end, it's 43. The answer is 43.
Yes.
That's the meaning of life.
Yes.
That there's an answer.
That's the elusive thing. And this is where in our conversation today, Amy, as we're like 5, 6, you're out, you're good, calf rope, they're buckling themselves into the car.
Right.
You're not like doing your contortionist act where you're like half twisting. We had the seats that pulled forward with the hatchback. So you literally had to do like a back bend, like a yoga worthy back bend to buckle the back kid into the car seat. And by the time you did that, the 4-year-old's running off. So we're like 5. That's the magical age. You're free. Everything's going to be okay. But here I come, Amy. Prepare yourself. You're passing a cave and I'm in a hood and I have long, craggly fingers. And I'm like, you there with your 5-year-old. Psychology Today.
Yes.
Obviously, the answer varies for different parents with different kids. However, a survey of over 2,000 well-educated moms by Sunia Luthar and Lucia Chicolia at Arizona State offers one universal answer. On average, mothers of middle schoolers 12 to 14 years old generally feel worse than parents of infants, preschoolers, elementary children, high school children, and adult children. Moms of middle schoolers report markedly less parenting satisfaction than other moms.
Well, I mean, we can put a piece of paper between that, right? Like, are we talking about the most satisfying stage of parenting or the easiest stage of parenting? And I guess it is true that changing 10 diapers a day, I mean, maybe 10 if they're breastfeeding babies, it's 10 diapers a day, There's also great rewards, right? There's also snuggles and all this, serotonin and oxytocin, and there are rewards.
Yep.
And then middle schoolers, less hard, less love bombing. So I guess the satisfaction would be lower as the workload gets lighter. That kind of makes sense.
Yes, and that's right. And this is Kara Goodwin, PhD, which is harder, parenting teenagers or toddlers. And I think this is exactly what you're getting at. She says, many parents who are struggling through the toddler years are warned by parents of older children. You think this is hard? Just wait until they're teenagers. That's our crone from the cave. As a parent of toddlers myself, I have always found these warnings demoralizing and honestly terrifying. So I couldn't help but wonder, does the research actually back this up? Which is actually more stressful, parenting a toddler or parenting a teenager?
Oh, okay. I have a thought on this.
Give us your thought, and then we'll see if Kara agrees with you.
I mean, it's going to seem facile, but I think it's true. It depends on the toddler and it depends on the teenager. Like, I have a teenager who's a college freshman who is blissfully happy at college,
right,
which in 2022 is not a foregone conclusion at all, right? The pandemic has made it so hard on college students for 100 ways. This kid is happy. So therefore, I'm happy. So therefore, my relationship with him is great. As a newborn, he was a nightmare. He slept like 90 minutes at a time for months.
Oh, that's right. He was like your refluxy, colicky nightmare.
Yes. Like, it's a miracle we made it. So that kid was a really difficult baby and a super easy teenager. And let's just say that can flip. I can flip that equation for you if you'd like. Use your imagination.
Yeah, that's right. So obviously it depends on the kid, but I do think her overall point here, this gave me like an aha moment, like I sometimes have on the podcast, like, oh, right, this makes a lot of sense to me. So I'm going to lay it on you. She says with young kids, role overload, AKA feeling overwhelmed by everything you have to do as a parent, is higher in parents of toddlers than teenagers. Research finds that the quality of marital partner relationship declines from infancy and then it improves when the child gets older. So yes, in infancy, role overload. But then with teenagers, research finds that while young children have more demands and needs, their needs are usually met in the same way. On the other hand, teenagers require that their parents meet their needs in different, more individualized ways.
Mind blown. That's so true.
This is the rub. This is why people say it's harder. In other words, young children may need you more often, but their needs are easier to meet.
Except when you get to the toddler stage and only mommy can cut my sandwich and only daddy can read me Harry Potter because he does the voices right. I mean, kids can start to differentiate and, pick favorites and pick sides. But when it's who can heat up the bottle, it's a job that needs to be done by somebody.
Yes. But even when they're differentiating, I think her larger point is like, I want my sandwich cut in triangles. You can figure out, like, I have to warn this kid, I have to cut this kid's only on the diagonal or they freak out. Like, the way you meet their needs, their constant, unbelievable, demanding needs.
And they're discrete. They're yes or no, right? They're binary.
Yes.
You're working or yeah.
And like every time we get in the car, it's going to be a nightmare for 20 minutes. Like that's a constant problem. Like all day, every day, you're just bombarded with problems, but the problems are solvable basically. And I think this is the crux of what people are saying. When a teenager comes home and is like, my 4 closest friends who I've been together with since I was a toddler and we've always been a clique, one of them decided to cast me out and now I have no friends and I'm scared to go to school. That's a really different problem than like, I have to remember to cut the sandwich on the diagonal.
Yes. And that problem is probably going to be much more on one parent. I mean, I'm thinking of this with my own older kids. My kids do relate to each of us pretty differently. And if one of my kids is having trouble in a relationship, they are probably going to go to one parent or the other. And it's not always the same parent. It can often be the same sex parent. Different parents provide different needs for this kid. And their problems if they have problems, are more global. They're not happy at college and should they transfer, right? The girls have all turned on her and what are we going to do? Are we going to call the other parents or not? Like these are bigger and more unsolvable if they occur, and they don't always occur. You can have a teenager for whom things are going really well for that quarter.
That's right. You could sail through on a lot of this stuff. I mean, you could sail through on most of this stuff. There are people who say like, well, I don't know what you're talking about.
You can have a baby who sleeps through the night at 6 weeks.
Exactly. You can have kids who are really easy. Let me tell you, if you have 3 kids, you're going to really lower your chances of having an easy time, just for my own personal experience. But I'd never heard it expressed quite this way, and it made so much sense to me. Listen, I had 3 kids in 4 years. That's a pretty high degree of difficulty in terms of like...
Triple sow cow.
It was the triple sow cow, and I didn't land it. I never landed it once, Amy. But everyone, from the minute I opened my eyes in the morning until... Not even the minute I closed my eyes, because someone would wake up during the night. I just had these endless days of like, someone always had a need. And then someone was always unhappy. I've said before that my brother, I said, I had a kid and he said, how's it going? I said, we have good days and bad days. He goes, oh, have another kid. Then you can have good days and bad days on the same day. And that's what it was. Like somebody was always unhappy. The juggling just ground me down. Mm-hmm. And I think that I'm a person who... That kind of problem solving, my mom was the same way. She had left, a very big job to have 3 kids. And I think it just ground her down, this constant inability to solve problems. It was constantly like chaos and problems all the time with little kids. And then as we were teenagers, I think she felt much more in control, being like, okay, the friends have abandoned you. Here's what you have to keep going to school. She was very good at that kind of problem solving and not as good at the like just living in chaos. And I think that's why I find this phase better for myself too. That kind of like, let's think of a solution and let's put it in perspective. That kind of work is a lot easier for me than the grinding pain of 3 kids, constant problems.
I want to talk about how things change and that's okay, how I'm thinking of this sort of for myself right now. Can I talk to you about that after this?
You may.
Amy, when I'm having a good hair day, it usually makes my whole day better. And that's why on every day, I'm taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, and it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested.
Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women, tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you get support that's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track.
Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LAUGHING.
That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code LAUGHING. All my kids learned to swim when they were little. It was super important to me that they be confident and safe in the water. There was only one problem with that: taking them to swim lessons. I mean, the pools were freezing. There were always cranky adults doing laps right there. And it was definitely not, for any of us, what you would call fun.
Amy, heard. But now there's Goldfish Swim School. Goldfish takes a really thoughtful approach to swim lessons, combining research-based teaching with a warm, kid-friendly environment that actually helps kids thrive in the water.
Every detail at Goldfish is thoughtfully designed to create a golden experience, from shiver-free, warm indoor pools to comfy waiting areas for parents to professionally trained lifeguards on deck.
Goldfish uses an approach called the science of swim play, which combines guided play with proven teaching techniques to help kids learn to swim, build water safety skills, and gain confidence, all at their own pace. Lessons are designed to meet kids exactly where they're at.
If you've been thinking about swim lessons or just wondering where to start, this is a great opportunity. Right now, Goldfish Swim School is offering a waived membership plus your child's first lesson free at participating locations.
Just visit goldfishswimschool.com/free to find a location near you and enroll using promo code FREE.
That's goldfishswimschool.com/free, promo code FREE.
And now, there are some things that change, and it's not so great.
From the What Fresh Hell podcast.
Toddlers talk all the time.
Teens don't talk at all, and it's somehow worse. We don't know why.
Car seats.
Good news, you don't have to buckle them in anymore. Bad news? They're in the front seat now, with keys in their hand. Your tiny baby is driving the car.
Getting babies to sleep versus getting teens to wake up.
That's a tie for terribleness. They are both really bad.
Baby smells.
Baby smells will be replaced by the smell of teenage feet. And all we can say is, you're not ready.
Kids' questions.
As it turns out, who's your favorite member of the Paw Patrol is a lot easier than answering, why do good people die? We're sorry in advance.
This has been There Are Some Things That Change, and It's Not So Great.
From the What Fresh Hell podcast. So we're talking about how things change, and that can be good or bad, but it happens, and it's not something to fear or hold back against, because I think that fear, no, they can never grow old is, a pain is in the gap kind of moment that you don't have to live in. And I'm seeing this very clearly with my youngest child is in 8th grade. So all 3 of my kids went from nursery through 8th grade in the same sort of neighborhood school. So we live in New York City, but the school is our community. It is our little neighborhood.
Right.
And thanks to the pandemic, we've kind of missed 2 years of PA meetings and science fairs and, spelling bees and all that kind of stuff, school plays.
Yes.
We haven't had any of that stuff. I have not been in that building more than 3 times in the last 2 years because I have an older kid. And she's leaving. And this community that I have been a part of that has shaped me as a parent for, I think, 17 years, this is it. And I can go to the Christmas pageant next year, but I'm not a parent there anymore. It's sort of you're meant to leave.
Please, Amy, please don't go to the Christmas pageant. That would be weird.
Ms. Wilson, your youngest child has graduated.
There's going to be a picture of you in the office. Do not admit this woman. She does not have children who go to this school.
Yeah, exactly. And you start to think gosh, I really am fond of these teachers, these people, these other parents. Am I going to see them again? And, those transitions. I've probably been through more of those transitions than a lot of young parents listening. Not all, but some.
Yes.
And it is sad and it is hard when you leave the community and you don't see the kids that you're so fond of, let alone their parents, and things morph and you want your kid to find a high school that they like just as much as the grade school, and it will be the same and it won't be the same. I mean, I'm grappling with this very much right now, including for my own relationships, that things change.
I want to tell you, I'm in the exact same boat. So our town has a K through 4 elementary school, which is slightly unusual. It's just about the size of the buildings, whatever. So it's 5 through 8 is middle school. And so my kid's elementary school, my youngest is in 4th grade. So she is graduating from this school this year. And it's my whole identity for the past, 10 years, I can't do the math, has been mom of kid in this school. And again, you're right, the teachers. And then, right, since she was in 2nd grade, I have not walked in the building. You're not allowed in the building. So, no plays, no art shows, that was the center of our lives. And I feel kind of ripped off, but wait a minute, I never got the magical times with her. And I never got to see her school plays. We did her 2nd grade play on Zoom. And then since then, they just haven't been doing plays. But it's time to look dead in the face of our old friend reality. Yes, it stinks, but it was a pandemic and we did miss out on a lot. And she did have this adverse experience. And it just, I think part of it is this idea that I spoke about in the beginning, that we need to look at the man in the mirror. Let's just keep our oldie locks songs going. Back in my day, okay?
It's an all old deluxe playlist.
We can solve this if we only look to songs from the 1980s, okay?
Don't test me because I'll do it. I'll bring it.
Oh, yeah. Believe me, this could be a 76-hour-long episode. We haven't even touched the Madonna oeuvre at this point. So we've got lots of road ahead of us. But I think the key to it does change, and that's okay, is that the story that the crone tells us is time snatches your baby from you and returns you a changeling who is rude and terrible. And that story leaves out that we have work to do for ourselves, and that there is a process of cleaving. Do you want to know a fun fact, Amy?
No, but I love the word cleave. Yes, I do want a fun fact, and I love the word cleave. Come on, can I?
Cleaving, I believe, is the only word in the English language that has 2 opposite meanings at the same time.
Oh, really?
To cleave to something means to hold it tightly.
Yes.
And then cleaving means separating.
Breaking it in half. Yeah.
Fun fact. But that second cleaving, your kids become rude and obnoxious to you, as I talked about in my Ask Margaret about rude kids, because that is a developmentally appropriate stage of separation. But sometimes we think of ourselves as like the island they're swimming away from. But that's not right. We are both cleaving from each other. Like we have to find a relationship. And I will say I had a really difficult relationship with my mom as a teenager, really difficult, famous in family lore. My mom was maybe the closest person I had in my life from the time I was in college until she died 3 years ago. But that would never have been possible if we had not gone through that separation, that we refound each other on the other side of being adults who like loved and respected each other. And we would sit and talk for 3 hours because we just enjoyed each other's brains and our way of processing. And she was the person I went to with problems. But we had to be, now for me, I didn't realize it, but she had to be brave enough to like go through that process of you go swim and we'll find each other later.
Wow, I love that. Right. And she would have lost out on that. You would have lost out on that relationship if she instead was like, I have to try to cling to the way things used to be. I have to make her not leave, right? Not swim away. No. Don't you remember we used to make cookies together, right? Like trying to cling to the past because once you leave, once you go to college, it'll never be the same again. No, it won't ever be the same again. It will be different and maybe wonderful in new ways, but you have to take that risk.
And the only child that I value is the like big glasses, pigtails, 4th grade version of me.
Yes.
That is the work of avoiding the fate that the crone has placed in front of us. And Amy, I'm not just saying this. Psychology Today is saying this. Okay?
Lay it on me.
I'm going to give you from Psychology Today how to counterbalance this only as happy as my happiest child. Oh, how the years go by feeling, right? That when you're feeling that feeling of like, oh, my adorable little, kiddo is now becoming this person I don't recognize. Develop your non-parent self is the first piece of advice, which makes a lot of sense, right? So if our only identity is parent of this child, that's not healthy for us or for our child.
Okay.
And that means the pain of like that rejection from our child really stings. Seek support. Don't be fooled by everyone else's perfect life. Everyone else is struggling. And I feel, especially nowadays with social media and presentational parenting, that the idea of like everyone else seems to still be like hanging out with their bestie on the couch, watching Netflix series together and having great talks. But my kid slams the door in my face and seems to hate me. That's going on for everybody. That is a part of this process. And don't be intimidated by like, I can't say that I don't really like my kid right now because that makes me a bad person.
And to talk more about that, we did a fresh take with Kat Velos, who wrote a book called We Should Get Together. And I had a great conversation with her about connection and the way to sort of accelerate. When you meet somebody new and you want to connect with them or you want to maintain a connection, how do you sort of accelerate? She believes that there are ways you can, make that happen. And instead of just, by chance, and communicating with vulnerability is one of the main ways to do it, to sort of show up with like, yeah, I'm having a really hard time.
That's where connection comes from.
Is the way to make yourself feel better and the way to grow that friendship. Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that, some of that presentational parenting becomes like, I am the best mom and I am mom and mom. And that this bit of distance between yourself and your kids, we forget about how important that is to be like, maybe I'm only as happy as my unhappiest kid, but I also have a spouse and a home and a job and a passion and hobbies that I like and friends that I like. And that my definition of like my connection with my child is the only thing that defines my life. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
Yeah.
Oldie Lux alert.
Yeah.
Back in my day.
Here's another piece of advice. Minimize power struggles. So this is really important at this phase. As kids start to cleave, as they start to separate, there tends to come from us the like, no, I am in charge. I am the mom. I am this. Like, you got to allow them to stretch those wings. You do not need to ever be spoken to rudely in your home. You do not need to put up with nonsense behavior from kids, and please don't. But I will maintain total control over you is a path to insanity.
Yeah, you need to do everything the way I think you should be doing it. I'm learning this lesson right now. I'm soaking in it with one of my kids. And I had a lesson to learn about not leaving about not leading every interaction with, yeah, but did you do this? And did you remember that? And but sometimes to just talk about the dog or Wordle or what my kid wants to talk about or nothing or sit in silence.
Yeah.
Companionable silence.
The Ask Margarets are short, and I feel looking back on it, I didn't emphasize enough this idea of the scales. Yes, they're getting ruder, but on the other side, you can play Wordle with them. I mean, that's a silly example, but you can talk to them. You can have fun experiences with them. And so don't only focus on the rude. Try to find things to throw on the other side of that scale because they're there.
Yeah.
Hang on, it's a stage is another piece of this advice from Psychology Today, which I think we get, right? That like the really tough, eye-rolling, difficult phase, that won't be forever. I think sometimes we feel again the door that like, we've gone through the door and the joy of, our little cuties is gone. And now we're through the door into the room where like they hate us. That's not how it is.
No.
It's a path. And you're like you're in the Wizard of Oz, trees throwing apples at you phase maybe. But like beyond that is the Emerald City.
It's chutes and ladders, There's going to be times when it's going not well. And then times when you're like, oh, like I said, when my son called me last night, like, hey, just wanted to say hello and show you my outfit and, meet my date and whatever. It was like, I feel like I went from like 37, like, I got the good ladder all the way up to 83.
Nice. But there could be a shoot sometimes right before you win, Amy, you're back down.
Yes.
The last piece of this advice that I really like, develop amnesia and don't bring up past failings. And I think that they're saying, I think very simply like, last week you did that, blah, 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 blah. Like, don't dredge from the bottom of the suitcase with your kids their failings. But I think really this is our solved it moment, which is let your teenagers be teenagers. Don't try to pull them back until let's go back to a time when you were. And for my mom and I, that involved a true kind of like, let's run on separate tracks for a little while because we couldn't find almost any middle ground. She didn't respect the things that I was doing. And this is not to say, again, I was not falling into drugs. I was not, causing gigantic issues. It just was an identity issue where we didn't have very much in common. And so in that time, develop amnesia for what they did wrong last week so you're not constantly bringing it up. But I think more profoundly, you have to develop a kind of amnesia around, but they used to be this and they used to be that. And because it gets in the way of seeing who your kid is. And until you can see them for who they are, and accept them for who they are, your relationship with them is going to be hosed.
What I think it's really about is, the amnesia, not bringing up the past means allowing for change, allowing the change to occur, allowing for things to be different.
Yeah.
Maybe first bad and then good, right? Stop trying to pull it back to the familiar because you don't have to. Even when that meme on Facebook is telling you, you'll miss these times, mama. Like, sure you will sometimes. And then sometimes it'll be like, I never want to. I'm so glad I'm not changing diapers anymore. Like, believe me, it's both. And so you don't have to try to keep things the same. Welcome change.
Amy, if I may, I think what you're trying to say is things change. And that's okay.
Yes.
Solved it.
And scene. Yes, we did it.
Did it. I hope that was helpful to everyone. It was such a helpful conversation for me because like Amy, I'm soaking in it. I've got tweens at home and like I miss the snuggles, but I'm trying to see like what we've got ahead that could be really exciting and fun. Friends, we have an ask for you. What would you like to see on our merch? We want you to come to our Facebook page or email us at info@whatfreshhellpodcast.com and let us know. Go check out our merch store at bit.ly/whatfreshmerch. See what's there. We've got oldie locks. We've got a thing and a thing. We've got tweet. But what's
we got that already.
Not there. Come to our Facebook page or info@whatfreshhellpodcast and let us know what you would like to see on What Fresh Hell merch.
Perfect. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Talk to you next time.
The right window treatments change everything: your sleep, your privacy, the way every room looks and feels. At Blinds.com, we've spent 30 years making it surprisingly simple to get exactly what your home needs. We've covered over 25 million windows and have 50,000 five-star reviews to prove we deliver. Whether you DIY it or want a pro to handle everything from measure to install, we have you covered. Real design professionals, free samples, zero pressure. Right now, get up to 40% off site-wide, plus get a free professional measure at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions apply.